Или это головочка? Ходят они, правильно? Ничего не делают.
Пойдем в следующем.
Да, да, сюда. Уже сейчас нет? Еще 7 минут до начала. Maybe over. Or do we need just someone? Yeah, so this is Mr. Either got his sister. Understood. I mean, you can say in the first row, she's not face fire. Ну что, я сяду в съемку. Софа, ты же знаешь, что тебе сесть сюда первая рядом? Ты, Софа, я. Я тут сяду, да? Ну, хочешь.
Are we streaming yet or we can?
Yes, we are zooming.
Oh, it's already live.
It's already live. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Это шамочки, что уже идет видео. Так они все нас видят.
Еще пока нет, не подключили. Не начали трансляцию.
Я уже вижу сейчас, что уже. Да.
Включила я, что ли, скажу, да?
Ты где сидишь?
Мы здесь. Все пыталась. Что ты за джем вышел? Ты видела джем? Я видела, но он не подошел ко мне. А он тебя не узнал. Думаешь? Я видела, что он включает. Да нет.
Я тоже не говорю.
А ты покажи?
Да, я уже ход и все.
Special guest from Israel. Special guest from Israel. Я приняла пожелание. Шикарный рис. Готовишься к вечеру. Даже если бы туда было написано, что, конечно. Ну, я тоже, наверное, буду изражать на митинге. И потом ты мне фотографии. Там Тебе не надо плохо. Тебе надо уже посидеть. Ира пришла к Кире. Да, рядом с ней сидит. С Лилией? Ну, через место. А что, уже нельзя вставать? Можно. Уже 11. А, наверное. А где Саша? Где Саша? Куда ушел? В туалет.
We're about to begin our service. If I could ask that everyone please be seated. Also, please take a moment and turn your cell phones to their silent mode. We want to make sure all electronic devices are on silent before we begin. Conducting our service today is Rabbi Andrea Koznowski. We will be starting our service with the ceremony of Kriya.
For hearts that are torn, we offer this blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, dayan ha'emet. The music of this life has ended. The final chord has been played. Yet the symphony continues even after death. Its melodies filling our memories. Beauty in life, harmony of love and friendship remain ours to savor. Energetic tempos of youth blend into stately rhythms of age, leaving their mark on the passage of time. Recalling moments of haunting beauty, as well as measures of discord and pain, we pause quietly, remembering. For one, a final note has sounded, yet we hear the melody lilting, Lingering, the music flows, guiding us to create our own symphony. Today we come together at one of life's most natural and unnatural moments. Today we're mourning one whom death has taken from us. This we know is the way of nature, that all living beings succumb to death. But knowing that death is a natural part of life brings us little comfort. And so at this complicated time, filled with many emotions and memories, we begin our service with a recitation of psalms and prayers, linking Allah's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people of Israel and the eternity of God. It is written in Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to pull down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to embrace and a time to let go, a time to be born and a time to die. These words come from the book of Proverbs, Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. A woman of valor who can find. She is more precious than corals. Her husband places his trust in her and profits only thereby. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She seeks out wool and flax and cheerfully does the work of her hands. She opens her hands to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She has no fear of the snow, for all her household is dressed in fine clothing. She is robed in strength and dignity, and she smiles at the future. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and a lesson of kindness is on her tongue. She looks after the conduct of her household and never tastes the bread of laziness. Her children rise up and make her happy. Her husband praises her. Give her credit for the fruits of her labors, and let her achievements praise her. Grace is elusive and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears God, she shall be praised. Many women have excelled, but you, Allah, excel them all. We gather together to mourn one who no longer walks among the living. And with the death of Alla Monisova, there is a loss and an emptiness, a void which never again will be filled. When a person is born, a singular and distinct individual enters into the world, and on the day she was born, the world was transformed. Her life graced our world, enriched it, and now that unique person is no longer, and again our world has been transformed. Words catch in our throats as we try to voice the grief that we feel for losing such a remarkable moment from our lives. But words are all we have. And so we say to Marina and Yuri and to Sasha and Irma, to lose a mother and mother-in-law, to lose the person who carried you into this world, who worried over you, who worked tirelessly so that you could stand on solid ground. Your mother's strength, her work ethic, her moral clarity, and her insistence on meeting life with courage were not abstract qualities. They were lived daily, and they shaped the home in which you were raised. Coming to America in midlife, rebuilding, preserving, and remaining hopeful even when life was difficult, these were acts of love on your behalf, and there's no way to be prepared for such a loss. But her life is written into who you are, and nothing, not even death, can take that away. May you feel her steady presence continuing to guide you all the days ahead. And to Dmitri and Daria and Anastasia, your grandmother shared a close and meaningful bond with you. She took deep pride in you and delighted in your growth, and saw you the continuation of the values that she held dear, perseverance, kindness, and responsibility. The love she gave you was intentional and enduring, and it does not end. It lives on in memory, in example, and in the ways that you carry her forward. And to Moisha and Lenny, and though you are very young, you are part of your grandmother's living legacy. You come from a woman who was and a fighter, who believed in helping others and in meeting life with optimism even when it was difficult. Through the stories that will be told and the values that surround you, her presence will remain a part of your life. And to Sophia and Ira, and to your husbands Alexander and Vitali, to lose a sister and sister-in-law is to lose a witness to your shared beginnings. To parents who instilled discipline and integrity and a powerful work ethic and a bond that endured across centuries, countries, and continents. Even with distance, your sister remained a center of gravity, holding family together with devotion and care, and that bond does not disappear. May the memories of loyalty, shared struggle, and enduring love be a source of comfort and strength. At this time, to offer words about Alla's life, I'm going to invite forward her sister, Ira.
Ну, все знаете, что я из Израиля, я в Израиле живу. Я не успела попрощаться, но мне передали со мной вместе некоторые люди, наши родные, близкие, прощальные слова. Я хотела бы сначала обратиться от них. Наш троюродный брат Яшка. Память о Бале была. Была ты. Порой циничная. Зачем ты крылья свои сложила? Детей и внуков осиротила. Моя дочка, Аннушка, она всегда смотрела на нее как на богиню. И вот она тоже передала несколько слов прощания с Алкой. Алка, про великих актрис театра говорят, какой выход. Это можно сказать и о тебе. Какой изящный, безболезненный и благородный выход. Ты была настоящим эстетом и богемой по своей сути. И очень красивой женщиной, той, у которой я училась женским хитростям. Женственность и тонкий, терпкий, загадочный аромат твоей личности очаровали меня с детства. Я помню твою квартиру в Киеве. Все было оформлено со вкусом, безупречно, чисто. Я помню, как перед сном ты наносила дорогой крем легкими похлопываниями подушечек пальцев под глазами. Этот ритуал навсегда стал для меня олицетворением ухоженности и шика. Я помню шелковый пеньюар, в котором ты ходила дома, тогда как у нас все бегали в старых майках и подштаниках. Мои воспоминания о тебе — это фрагменты, жесты, взгляды, ароматы, интонации. Ты редко обращалась ко мне напрямую, и я была благодарна тебе за это. Ты не приставала, не поучала, не требовала внимания. Оно и так было твоим. Взгляды, повороты головы, скопление людей — все всегда собиралось вокруг тебя. И сегодня, как всегда, ты в центре внимания. Прекрасная, изящная, интересная, искрометная звезда. И от себя, Алка моя дорогая, ты все спрашивала, когда ты приедешь. Я приехала, но ты не дождалась, как всегда, недосягаемая для меня. Всегда была для меня идеалом женщины, идеалом ума, идеалом во всем. Я никак не могла дотянуться, добежать. Мне всегда не хватало чуть-чуть. И вот сейчас ты также убежала, оставила меня без всякой возможности дотянуться. Мне так больно это понимать.
Мне так не хватает нашего общения, смеха, шуток, обмывания косточек всем. Гордиться нашими внуками вместе, радоваться вместе их успехам и достижениям. Алка, хочется кричать от пустоты. И хочется умолкнуть в грохоте этой пустоты. Люблю тебя всегда с тобой.
At this time, I invite forward Alla's daughter Marina and son-in-law Yuri.
My mother, Alla, had many joys in life. And she approached all of them with a combination of big intellect, big heart, and a bit of sarcasm for seasoning. She loved ideas, she loved music, theater, and a good bargain. So she developed her own personal system for attending performances. She would buy the least expensive ticket available, usually somewhere in a stratosphere. And then, with the determination of general planning a military operation, she would scan the floor for empty seats. And most of the time, she succeeded. She relocated herself with the stealth of a woman whose joints were not nearly as stealthy as she believed. One night, three of us, Mama, Anastasia, and I, went to the theater together. Mama spotted an empty seat in the second row. The second row. Before the curtain rose, she made her move. And by made her move, I mean she shuffled as fast as a woman with stiff knees could possibly shuffle. Locked herself down next to the older gentleman and immediately settled in as if she had been assigned that seat by the universe itself. The man glanced at her, but of course you don't speak during the performances. During intermission, he asked her, "Are you enjoying the show?" "Oh, it's wonderful," she said, glowing. "Yes," he replied. "You are sitting in my late wife's seat." But she wouldn't mind. And Mama, without missing a beat, without embarrassment, without apology, simply nodded with understanding and continued to enjoy the evening. That was her. She could turn even an awkward moment into something gentle, human, and strangely comforting. As I stand here today, I hold close the good and kind things that we share. I've learned that peace comes from balancing the things that didn't happen with the things that did. The laughter, the generosity, the long conversations on the phone and by her side. The imperfect love between mother and daughter. Strengthening my relationship with her as she aged required a special kind of love, courage, and humility. I tried, sometimes imperfectly, to meet her with understanding, forgiveness, compassion, and gratitude. And that is a path I'm carrying forward. My mom taught me many things, but perhaps the greatest lesson was this: life is short, seats are limited, and if you see an open spot in the second row, go for it. She certainly always did.
We were told highlights, not stories. Long stories are for Shiva. And that's probably for the best, because If we start telling stories about Alla, we'll be here until sun goes down and then it will come back up. Alla liked things short, clean, straight to the point. You'd get halfway through a sentence and she'd cut in, finish it for you, often get it wrong, but confidently wrong. She drove me mad. I'd be working my way toward the punchline and she'd grab it right out of my hands like it belonged to her. In this last year, when her body betrayed her, her sarcasm did that. I'd walk in and she'd glance me over and say, "You got fatter. Your hair is a mess. Why are you so pale?" It was her way of saying hello. And strangely, it almost always felt like love. We also have to speak of Marie. Because without her, we wouldn't have the gift of Alla's humor and stubbornness for as long as we did. Marina carried the whole weight alone. She built a world around Alla that was full of care, comfort, and dignity. She got her to holidays, parks, doctors, to life. Alla thrived because Marina refused to let her do anything less. Thank you, Marina. Alla was fearless. She didn't hold back her opinions. God knows that. Once she decided something, she moved like a small but determined bullet. She made decisions fast, and more often than not, they were good ones. And when they were not, well, she still believed they were. She left her grandchildren and great-grandchildren with fierce, uncomplicated love. When she wasn't with them, she watched the photos and videos spinning under the picture frame like it was her own private cinema. She always wanted to know what Aiden and Logan are doing. How many goals did they make in game just to make sure they're the best. They're the best that the team can have. For another short example, she worried about Logan, the youngest, jumping off the 10-foot pier into Lake Michigan. Why is he jumping? Where is Yura? She demanded, as if I had personally authorized that stunt. Because Alla said always what she meant. And she meant it was love, even when it came out second. And now she is somewhere about us. Probably interrupting the angels, correcting them confidently, and stealing their punchlines too. I'd like to think she finally gets to finish one of her own.
At this time, I'm going to invite forward her grandchildren, Dmitri and Anastasia.
Well, let me take a step back. She never wanted to be called grandma. When I was 4 or 5 years old, I called her Baba Alla, and that was the last time I was ever allowed to do that. She loved telling stories, and some of them were true, and some of them were, well. When I was 7 years old, we were driving home from somewhere. She picked me up from school or from music practice, or at this point I don't remember, but every day she would come and she would pick me up, and we would always make sure to race the green lights on the road, to go as fast as possible when the light is green, and to slow down as slowly as possible when the light is red, to just get home as well as soon as we can. Over this large amount of driving, I eventually asked her the question that every child wants to know. Hey, Alla, where do highways come from? And Alla, without missing a beat, explained that they come from Alla. That she is the one who builds all of these highways, and she told me the story, she spun the yarn, of how she hired all the workers. She hired the big claw machines that we saw on our way. She hired the big rolling machines that she saw on her way. She planned the directions of the roads, how they would go across and through the mountains, and how they would just go in a straight line through the Great Plains of Europe. And through all this, I believed her. You know, my not grandmother is telling me the story. So I got home, and very proudly, I told this story to my parents. And Marina was aghast. Marina said, "Alla, how can you possibly be telling these stories to my child who believes you?" And so on, you know, as mothers are wont to do. And Jura, with his love for melding and fixing the relationship between people, he said, well, you know, she's a taxpayer, so technically she did help build the roads that we were driving on. So I, through Alla, through this and through other experiences with her, I also learned how to tell stories and how to spin yarns, of which some of them have a kernel of truth.
So, Alla, I want to talk about the importance of how important she was to my life. She helped me in so many ways. From bringing our family to this country, to picking up a 11-year-old boy when his parents were out of the country and he didn't have a ride home from his friends and was ready to walk about 5 miles at 8 o'clock at night. But Alla was there. Alla was always there to help me. She also built the roads. I don't know if you guys knew that. We understood each other, Alla and I, in a way that far and away a lot of people don't. We didn't need words. We didn't need actions. Whatever I was thinking, she knew. She always knew. I would call her, and she would pick up the phone, and she would pick it up one of two ways. She would pick it up if she knew I was calling just to say hi, and she would ask me questions about my kids or about my school or whatever else it was. Or if I was calling because I needed something. She would pick up the phone, and immediately, she wouldn't say hi. She would say, "Что ты хочешь?" And I knew. And she knew. She knew that I needed something. She knew that I needed help in a way that I wasn't comfortable asking my parents. I didn't know who to ask for whatever reason. She was always there helping me. Well, so what do you give someone like that, right? As a child, when I was young, you know, and I don't have anything to give. When I'm in college and I have $26 in my bank account, so what do I have to offer? Well, there was a time in my life that I metaphorically used to eat candy. And everyone knows that candy is not good for you. Well, I would come over to Alla's house sometimes during college. I would visit her in my breaks, and I would come and I would visit her. And we would sit, and she'd always have tea, because that's all she ever had. She only had tea. And we would drink some tea, and then we'd talk. And then afterwards, because she knew, she never once talked about me eating candy. She knew that wouldn't be good. But she knew. Like I said, she always knew. So we'd be sitting there drinking tea. And then she'd look at me and she'd be like, "No, добавь, чай есть?" Which loosely translated, well, come on, you got any? Right? And we'd spend the time together hanging out on her balcony and eating candy together. And she was someone, those were some of my favorite memories of her, because she just knew what she wanted. She was someone you could always rely on. She was someone I could always rely on. It was a person that I had behind me, somewhere behind me, that I always knew that when everything went bad, I could always turn to her. And the last thing that I want to say about her is she loved life. She loved watching kids score goals. She loved watching people play. She loved her things. She loved what made her happy. And she went, and she did, and she got what made her happy. So the last thing that I want to say to Alla is, I'm glad you showed us the way to be happy. For the last time, I will say, Paka Paka.
And finally, I invite forward her son, Sasha.
I want to thank everyone for coming to commemorate my mom first. Thank you for being here. I'm going to tell stories in Russian, and some of them involve Sophie, but Sophie forgot her phone, so she kept hearing it. Последние несколько дней я все думал о том, что я скажу здесь о маме. Чем ближе человек к тебе, тем меньше слова могут выразить твое настоящее ощущение этого человека. А кто может быть ближе, чем мама? Чем больше человек, тем меньше слова могут достоверно охватить его личность. А мама была большим человеком, даже очень большим. И я боялся, что мне будет трудно найти правильные слова. Но, к счастью, помог Facebook. Вчера я зашел на мамину страницу и сразу нашел то, что искал. Алла пишет в Facebook: твой символ – сова. Ты бдительная, сильная, сосредоточенная. Ты личность, которая не позволяет миру говорить ей, как жить. В трудные времена ты всегда находишь силу продолжать бороться. И это один в один подходит к нашей маме. Нам всем так хорошо известна ее поразительная сила, ее решимость, которой она бросалась помогать другим, ее безудержная любовь к свободе, несмотря на препятствия на ее пути, несмотря на многолетнюю и тяжелейшую болезнь, с которой она всегда находила силы бороться. Алла пишет в Facebook: просто лучше. У нее огромное сердце, великолепная личность, и она не терпит злых людей. День, проведенный с ней, всегда запоминается. Ее любовь к жизни просто заразительна. Откуда? Откуда Facebook это узнал? Но это правда. У мамы действительно было огромное сердце. Но, Боже, упаси тебя попасть в ее список злых людей. И да, я счастлив, что сумел заразиться твоей любовью к жизни, мама. И очень надеюсь, что смогу заразить и своих детей. Какая ты специя? Спрашивает Facebook. И отвечаю: розмарин. Ты отличная комбинация сладкого и пикантного. Ты умеешь разжигать чувства других. Ты всегда рядом, когда твои друзья нуждаются в тебе. Ты розмарин. Наверное, не случайно это имя розмарин. Ну, тут, как говорится, no come. Все сходится. Чтобы вы не подумали, что это я все выдумал с Фейсбуком, я хотел поделиться несколькими воспоминаниями о маме, чтобы вы сами убедились, как все это верно. Мне было 5 лет, когда мама привезла меня с Мариной в первый раз на море. А Марине было 13. Мы приехали в Гурзуф, и пока сняли комнату и разместились у хозяйки, уже было поздно. Мы с Мариной готовы были послушно лечь спать, но мама вдруг настояла на том, чтобы мы в тот же вечер пошли на море. И в сумерках мы сели в почти пустой автобус и поехали по серпантину вниз к берегу. В какой-то момент мама вскочила со своего сиденья и с силой открыла окно в автобусе. И я помню, как в автобус ворвался теплый ветер вместе с гулом. «Слышите?» – закричала мама. «Слышу что?» «Ну вот это!» «Что это? Ветер?» «Не ветер, море!» «Это шумит море!» Мы вышли на пляж, и я впервые увидел море. Волны мне казались огромными, но мама заставила нас раздеться и забежать в воду. А с мамой спорить было трудно. Я тут же был подхвачен волной, которая начала вертеть меня, пока не вынесла обратно на берег к маминым ногам. я посмотрел наверх и увидел мамино смеющееся, торжествующее лицо. Я завизжал от радости и побежал обратно в воду. Никогда еще, да и, наверное, уже, я не получал большего удовольствия. А второе воспоминание похоже на зеркальное отражение первого. Это был 2006 год, я жил в Гайд-парке, недалеко от озера. И как-то раз ко мне в гости приехали мама и Совка. Совка тут же начала нахваливать мою квартиру, говорит, что она и так напоминает квартиру Ральда в Ленинграде. А Совка любила меня сравнивать с Ральдом. Ты, Сашка, говорит она, когда-нибудь видел Люську, первую подругу Ральда? Я говорю, нет, конечно, не видел. Но слышал, что она была проституткой. Совка возмущается. Ты что, какой проституткой? Она была аферисткой. А потом продолжает вспоминать. Они жили на набережной Невы, возле Меньшиковского дворца. Какая это была потрясающая комната. С огромным окном, со светлым паркетом. И тут мама, которая тем временем сидела за столом и поедала мою халву, вдруг подает голос. Совка, не дури. Паркет был темно-коричневый. И Совка сразу согласилась. Ты права, действительно темно-коричневый. И Анечкин мост тоже совсем недалеко. Анечков, поправляет мама, доедая халву. Анечков? Совка поражена. А ну, Сашка, проверь в гугле. Через какое-то время они переоделись в купальники, и мы пошли все на озеро. А мамина голова всегда была наполнена самой разнообразной информацией. Ничуть не меньше, чем ее квартира была заполнена разными предметами. По пути она начала проводить нам экскурсию. А вы знаете, кто такой Бернам? Это архитектор, построивший храм. А потом я вас поведу к фонтану времени. Его построил Лорейда Тафт. Тут недалеко. Мимо нас проходит пара мужчин среднего возраста. «Я же знаю, что вы русские!» — кричит им мама. «А вы знаете, как я это поняла?» Мужчины не знают. Они итальянцы. Когда мы проходим парк до пляжа, я рассказываю маме и Софье о гайд-паркских попугаях. Когда мама узнает, что они прилетели сюда из Аргентины, она предлагает, что они прилетели в Америку охранять нацистское золото. И эта догадка ее так радует, что она начинает повторять ее каждый раз со все большей уверенностью, пока это не становится утверждением. Тут Совка понимает, что мама, видимо, обладает какой-то важной информацией и расспрашивает ее о попугаях. Мама с удовольствием делится своим открытием с Совкой, со все увеличивающейся громкостью. Совка, наконец, слышит и спрашивает с большим сомнением в голосе. Они прилетели сюда охранять золото Рейна? Но откуда ты это знаешь? Не Рейна, Совка, кричит ей в ответ мама. Рейха! Софа не сдается. Но ведь опера называется «Золото Рейна». Мы проходим мимо скамейки. На ней сидят мужчина и женщина. Мужчина фотографирует попугая. Мама останавливается прямо перед ним. И после небольшой паузы интересуется, знают ли они, каким макаром эти попугаи попали в гайд-парк. И чем они здесь занимаются. Они, увы, не знают. У меня замирает сердце. Но мама подробно рассказывает им о происхождении попугаев. Совка в полном восторге. Мужчина и женщина реагируют на полученную информацию без особого интереса. Мама бросает им разочарованный взгляд и продолжает идти вперед, покачиваясь со стороны в сторону, как раненый, но непобежденный генерал. Мы с Совкой следуем за ней, как ее преданный адъютант. Время от времени она бросает в нашу сторону гордый и лукавый взгляд. А потом они купаются. Плавают они долго и заплывают далеко за буйки, пока не подходит спасатель и говорит, что дамам нужно вернуться ближе к берегу. Я отвечаю, что, к сожалению, никакой власти над дамами у меня нет. Он им энергично машет. И дамы в солнечных очках игриво машут ему обратно. И остаются, где были. По дороге на берег я вижу, как большая волна накрывает маму с головой. «Совка!» — говорит мама на берегу. «Где ты была, мать твою? Я чуть из-за тебя не утонула». «Да», — говорит Совка. «Я посмотрела в твою сторону, а тебя не было. И я подумала, где, мать твою, Алка? А потом ты появилась опять». Вот и сейчас, мама, ты ушла плавать, и тебя опять с головы накрыло большой волной. Но знай, что мы все ждем на берегу. Ждем, пока ты появишься опять. В нашей памяти, в нашей жизни, в жизни наших детей. До скорого, мама. И легкого тебе плавания.
Alla was an amazing woman who was truly blessed and extremely wealthy in generational wealth, because the generations continue with Aiden and Logan. And she was so pleased that coming from a long line of strong doctor women, that there were now a few men in the family. And it is my hope that the legacy of love and living life to the fullest that she leaves us will continue to inspire and guide us through all the days of our lives. And in this way, death cannot separate her from us. For when we remember Allah's love, she continues to live on, even in death. If you have the program that was given to you as you entered the synagogue today, I'm going to invite you to recite the 23rd Psalm along with me. It can be found on the second page of the program. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. You make me lie down in green pastures. You lead me beside the still waters. You restore my soul. You guide me in straight paths for your name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. If you are comfortably able to do so at this time, I'm going to ask you to please rise. El male rachamim, shochen b'amruim, hamitzei mechuna nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina, im kadoshim, utehorim kizor harakia, mazhirim, et nishmat Alla bat Lazer Baraisa, shahalacha la'olama, ve'al harachamim yasireha b'seter knafav le'olamim, vayitzror b'tzur hachayim et nishmata, Adonai v'nachalata, v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava, v'nomar amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Alla Monisova, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say together, Amen. Amen.
Please be seated. The interment will take place at Willow Lawn Memorial Park. The cemetery is located at 24090 North US Highway 45 in Vernon Hills. Upon conclusion of the services at the cemetery, there will be a meal of condolence at Maestro Restaurant, which is located at 500 Anthony Trail in Northbrook. They will be there approximately from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. today. We will be traveling in procession from the synagogue to the cemetery. We will ask that you please obtain an orange funeral sticker as well as a magnetic flag. The sticker should be affixed to your front windshield on the driver's side. The magnetic flag should be affixed to the top of your car on the driver's side, please. We will also ask that you please turn on your high beam headlights as well as your hazard blinking lights. Both sets of lights need to be on at all times. Should we approach an intersection and that traffic light change, please do not stop. Rather, proceed through the intersection, keeping a close but safe interval of space between you and the car in front of you. By avoiding gaps in our procession, it will help us be more readily recognized as a funeral procession. Lastly, we will ask that you refrain from making phone calls while in procession. We ask that you be alert and focus on driving. At this time, I'll ask for everyone to please rise and stand in place. I'll ask for anyone acting as a pallbearer to please come forward as we escort the casket from the sanctuary and the family back into the family room.
Pallbearers, if you would please just follow us out of the sanctuary. Thank you. Excuse us. Pallbearers, please follow behind. Family members, we're going to go back into family room. Yes, you're going this way. Family's going to go.